front drive shaft vibrating. So as you may or may not have been able to hear in the video clip that we just played, we now have Driveline Vibrations. It's a kind of an oscillating sound that you can almost feel more than you can hear. Kind of a wah, wah, wah sound. Anyway, that's something we're going to fix today. So if there's an upside to the FAD, it's that it keeps your front drive shaft from spinning unless you're in four-wheel drive, and that'll keep your drive shaft from vibrating. Even if you're running 513 gears, or even if it's not balanced, it's not really an issue. But since we just installed a ProRock 44, we no longer have an FAD. The aftermarket U-joint style drive shaft that we picked up a while back is now vibrating. Tape measure. So I should note, part of the problem is with the drive shaft is when we got it, we were in a pinch for time. So normally we would get our drive shaft from a local shop and have one custom made, mainly because it's cheaper. It's usually made just as well, if not better, than any brand name out there. And if you use your Jeep as hard as you think you do, you'll actually wind up using them more than once, if only to rebuild or rebalance your shafts. So this drive shaft that we originally got it as a flange style shaft so that it was quick and easy to install. But now that we're with the ProRock 44, we're running a yoke style or a pinion yoke as opposed to the flange. So that's probably part of our problem. The drive shaft is now really stretched out. So what I need to determine first is how long of a shaft do I need to have? I need to take a measurement. All right, so looks like we're gonna need ourselves exactly 37 inches to the center of the U-joint. You can see right here about where my thumb is. That's what we need. I should note that it's important to take this measurement of your drive shaft while your vehicle or your Jeep is on the ground, because that'll give you the right height length that you need. All right, just to make things easier for me to remove the front drive shaft, I'm gonna go ahead and rack up our JL now and get that drive shaft off. All right, so we're racked up. I actually engaged it into four-wheel drive to keep the drive shaft from spinning, and that'll make it easier for me to get these nuts off. Does this even have any weights? Off just one? The rest of the shaft doesn't have anything. That's a little odd. To be honest, we always felt like this shaft had a little bit of vibration anyway, but we should be able to get it fixed. All right, let's load it up and go. Before we go anywhere, I'm going to go ahead and tape up this U-joint so that I don't lose any of these bearing caps. I'm going to have a feeling we might be able to reuse them, especially since this drive shaft is brand new. Just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. That's it. So nice to have a Driveline shop close by. Let's get this thing going. So as hard as it is to believe, they just told me that they might have the drive shaft done today. Right now it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. That's a pretty fast turnaround. I mean, if we were back in Southern California, the best I could get in terms of service is, what, 2 days? And that's with me asking nicely and begging and pleading, or maybe even paying a rush fee. But for these guys to turn it around that quickly, that's awesome. So we just got done dropping off our front drive shaft at our local shop, mainly because it was vibrating, but also because it needed to be made a little bit longer because of our Pro Rock 44. So we were like 98% sure that it was the cause of our vibrations, but not 100% sure. And now that it is physically off of our JL while it's getting retubed, we thought we'd take this thing for a test drive and see if it was in fact the cause of the vibrations. So I'm gonna get it up to highway speeds in just a moment, and we'll find out for sure. To get the rear shaft on any more dead on than it is. I've tried it plus a couple degrees, I've tried it minus a couple degrees, or even 1 degree. So it's either not balanced 100%, or I'm not sure. Maybe it was a combination of both front and rear drive shafts that made it worse, but it's definitely still there. A little bit, in my opinion. I don't think it's as bad as it was before though. Do you?
No. Like you said, it's probably a combination.
Yeah.
Both of them vibrating. This one sounds more solid. The other one sounded more oscillating.
The other one was definitely more oscillating, and that makes sense because it's the front shaft. This one definitely feels more solid, which would definitely indicate that it's rear shaft. Damn, these are like brand new drive shafts. So we've been chasing our tail in regards to vibrations on our JL, and we have our front drive shaft currently being worked on, and I took it for a drive yesterday to see if it would help. It's still there. Not as bad, but they're definitely still there, and to be honest, we've always had them. I just didn't think it was a problem, but now I really want them to be gone. So I pulled our rear drive shaft so that we could get it rebalanced. And as you can see, there isn't a single balancing weight on the main tube. So either it never got balanced in the first place, or they just did a perfect job, or thought they did. Either way, it's not going to hurt to get it rebalanced, and hopefully that'll fix things, and that's what we're going to do today. Alright, here we are. Time to pick up our front shaft and drop off our rear. Ta-da! Our new drive shaft. Compliments of Driveline and gear and service here in Sparks. Is it snowing? I think it's snowing on us. Crazy. Time to get this guy installed. So before installing the front drive shaft, I wanted to make sure that I got my rear drive shaft back, and as you can see, it's actually got a balancing weight on it now, and got one over here as well. So I'm hoping this is going to fix our vibration problem, and so I'm going to go ahead and install this before I install the front shaft, just to verify as much. So go over here. If it matters to anyone, cost us $94 to have the shaft rebalanced, which is not too bad. So the turnaround time, which is even more amazing than the affordable cost, it was about an hour. These guys did it super quick, and it's not like they weren't busy. When I walked in there to pick up the shaft, it was easily 6 guys deep waiting to get their shafts. So great work, cheap prices, great turnaround. Another benefit of using a local shop. Red Loctite. Because I still don't have myself a crow's foot like I really should have, I'm just going to go ahead and double up some wrenches here. Just get these things on tight. Okay, now we can get started on the yoke. Some more red Loctite. That should be good to go. I think what we're going to go ahead and do now is lower our Jeep back on the ground, take it for a test drive, and see if the balancing of the rear shaft did the trick. Coming down. All right, moment of truth. I'm gonna get this onto the highway, get it up to about 65, 70. That's where we've been noticing the vibrations the most. And hopefully it's fixed. Okay, here we go. Crossing my fingers. Hopefully we got it. Super quiet. I don't hear anything. I don't feel anything. I'm at 65. This was like the worst spot possible before. I'll get it up to 70 in a second. I'm at 70 now. Still super quiet. So to add insult to injury, we paid almost twice as much to buy our drive shafts in Henderson than it would have cost us to get locally. And I had to pay an additional $100 to get it rebalanced, when I could have just got it from them to begin with and had it perfect. So once again, why I like getting a locally made drive shaft. Make it a little bit faster. 75, 80. I feel nothing, I hear nothing. I think we finally got it.
Yay. Yeah, it's nice now.
That's super nice. Even with 513s. Well, now we have to put in the front drive shaft and see if we got that as well.
Yeah, okay.
So it can be fixed.
Can be fixed.
Now that we've got the rear drive shaft totally squared away, it's time to get that front one on and see if we got that fixed as well. Alrighty, on to the front. Hopefully our local shop was able to do as good of a job as they did on our rear, which is phenomenal, to be honest. But then again, the shop that we bought our last set of shafts were sworn by lots of people, friends included, so I'm a little disappointed. You can see here, like the rear shaft, there were no weights whatsoever. There was a tiny one here on the slip shaft. There's a much larger one now. And over here, this is not only larger, but it's thicker. So hopefully this will get the job done. Everything else looks good. Everything else is the same. It did get retubed, so it is physically longer than it was before, so hopefully that'll fix everything. Tight on everything. We don't want these guys going anywhere. right, so I'm gonna go ahead and lock in the transfer case just so that everything stays put, and then I'll start tightening everything up just a little bit more. Just do a final tightening without going crazy tight, especially on these U-bolts. All right, so more than the rear vibration we were feeling, the vibration we were feeling up front was really bad. There was this oscillation, this humming that came and went that we're hoping we fixed. So now that we have the new front drive shaft that's been retubed, balanced, and installed, let's see how it does. All right, here we go. So more than our rear drive shaft, our real issue was the oscillating vibrations we were getting from our front drive shaft. Now that we have a Pro Rock 44, no more FAD, that thing's always spinning. The 513 gears, it was really giving us that buzz. 75. I don't hear anything. I don't feel anything. So what that tells me is more than anything, more than the pinion angle or the caster angle, which I've been playing around with forever, our problem was always our drive shafts. They were just never balanced or balanced very well. They are now. You guys ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock.